In today's world, we are increasingly dependent on technology. Our business and personal lives rely on it, but as you've probably noticed, it's unreliable. Our computers are slow, so we end up squinting at smartphones and tablets. The jokers we pay to fix our stuff have no clue what they're doing. We live in constant fear that something's going to happen to our personal data. So we're scared into paying for fake protection that proves useless when disaster strikes. Update attacks, fake Wi-Fi, cloud control, intelligent, successful people feel intimidated by the chaos and think it's somehow their fault. If they only knew what the industry was doing to them, they'd get torches and pitchforks. If only we had someone to explain it all in plain English so we can start protecting ourselves. Oh wait, we do! It's the Computer Exorcist Podcast with your host, Mark Anthony Arena.
From the Wallace Memorial microphone in my home office overlooking the Can of Worms in downtown Rochester, New York, this is the Computer Exorcist Podcast. My name is Mark Anthony Arena. I am so glad you have joined us today. As I always say, I always have fascinating special guests, and she is definitely one of them. It's Stacey Altomari. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking.
First off, I met Stacey in a networking club that I'm in. Just totally fascinating, and she brings a lot of peace to my life and helps me just ground myself, and sometimes you have to stop, right? It's not that you're supposed to stop forever, it's stop so that you can move forward in the right direction. I am really good at moving forward, regardless of the direction, and oops, oh look, I moved forward, but I was totally in the wrong direction for the past 45 miles. So it's, hey, I need to stop and ask her for directions. Tell us how you became, what you do and how you got there.
Okay, thank you. And I love that you said you had to stop and ask for directions because, that's what life is. Life is about taking all these paths, and sometimes we take the wrong ones, but they're not completely wrong because there's lessons we learn from each path we take. Just sometimes we get off of the beaten path, right? Mm-hmm. But those beaten paths still, those detours still teach us something because we end up getting back on it. So there's always a lesson whatever direction we're going in, there's always something for us to learn.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I always say this, I'm so excellent at learning a lot of lessons. I've done nothing but meander my whole adult life, and I've learned a lot from it. So at least I got that.
Yeah, well, that's what life is about. It's about learning. How else are you going to grow and evolve and move forward if you don't learn? Then you're stuck in that thing, whatever that thing is. Yeah. So I am an EFT practitioner. If you don't know what that means, I have this long title. So I'd rather describe myself as what I do and not my title. Mm-hmm. I help people navigate. I help them navigate through their life, through their stories, through their emotions, through their beliefs. And I help them find their reality, because what we see isn't our reality, but it is what we created. Our reality is what we created through our thoughts and our thinking and our stories and our beliefs about ourselves. So I help you work out the thoughts that the self-talk that you have. I help you retrain your brain to something so much better, because you are so much better than the self-talk.
Wow. And I could tell you, and I see this in other people now, but to be fair, I'm the king of this myself, so I am guilty of it myself. I'm not putting other people down, but I see this all the time where people, hey, how you doing? And they start with a litany of all their health problems and all their this problems and all their that problems, and that's cool if you want to embrace that, right? I mean, everyone has problems, right?
Yeah.
But do you embrace them? Do you make your life about those problems?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And again, I'm not putting people I'm the king of that too. I'm guilty of it too. But now that I'm learning that, okay, Mark, hey, now I'm starting to see this in other people.
Yeah, and the first step in learning that is being aware of your own, right? It's being
Hmm.
aware of how you think, what you're saying to yourself, and how can I change that, you know? And it's really very easy, although it seems very daunting. And I think you said
Hmm.
that earlier. It's a daunting task to retrain our brain. Really, it's worth the effort because your life will be so much easier, so much better. You'll be able to see your life through a totally different lens. The
Hmm.
world is not crazy, the world is not bad, but what you see, what you choose, and there's the key word, what you choose to watch is what you're going to always see.
And I might have said this at some point in a past episode, but you remember those 3D glasses when we were kids and there was a red lens and a blue lens, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
could choose to look at the world through the blue lens or the red lens, right? It's all there,
It's all
but
there.
it's what are you
Exactly.
filtering out and what are you focusing on?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's our brain is actually trained and wired to focus on the negative.
Oh,
That's
great
how
point. Because we're supposed to protect ourselves from
we're supposed
threats,
to
right?
protect ourselves. Yes.
Whoa. And especially, I mean, I personally, professionally, I protect people from threats. So I'm especially prone to looking for threats and looking for, wow.
Right. The key is though, but
Whoa.
your body is also trained to reset yourself after the threat is gone. However, in today's world, the threats are just coming at us at enormous speeds and enormous amounts.
Oh, that's so
Everything we
huge.
see
With
and
every
hear.
update attack, with every new thing that comes out that we have to
That's
learn
correct.
and new.
And just words alone, the latest, it's a catastrophic storm. Just those words alone will put
Oh,
you on
yeah.
alert,
Oh,
right?
great point. Everything in the news is always catastrophic, right? But
Everything,
hey,
everything.
that's the knee jerk thing. But hang on, stop a second. Wait a minute. If every week you have another catastrophic storm, then guess what? We can survive through all of that, right? It's that
That's correct.
extra, hey, but wait a minute part,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
counterpoint.
Yes. It's
Wow.
also what's their definition of catastrophic? Because an inch of rain is not catastrophic,
Hmm.
And so it's also that definition and what we're creating to have the meaning we're creating behind it.
Wow. So yeah, it's that extra, hey, wait a minute, we can survive this.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, absolutely.
And also the conscious decision. So I was talking to you before the show, and I'll give you a little summary that last week I was talking to somebody, and I said, look, I really wasted my time on thus and such, and I really sorry that I did that. I wish I had changed, and from now on I'm going to change it. And again, that it seems daunting, right? I'm going to change this, but our subconscious is the part that looks for the threats, right? And our
Yes.
subconscious is the part that gets us into bad habits. And but we also have this conscious mind. You know the term, we make a conscious decision. So I made a decision in that moment. Hey, I'm in control of my body. I'm in control of my mind. I'm going to do something different here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point because our unconscious mind is there to keep us safe. We've created it to do that. That's its job. So when was something we may have needed as a young child, we don't need now, but our mind does not know that. It just sees the signs and then alerts us to this might be danger.
Oh, okay. So number one, once I made that decision, everything opened up for me. Right? It's like, okay, so I don't have to do that anymore. That frees me up to look for this amazing stuff that I really should be doing. And it's just incredible how all of a sudden all that daunting stuff went away. It all melted away, and now it's, oh wow, look at all these huge possibilities. But let's step back a minute to what you said. That's hugely important. So you said, let's say when we were kids, we had some kind of like coping mechanism or something, right?
Right.
You said something to me a couple weeks ago that I thought was really important. You said that what did you worded it as? It's the child inside of us that's still driving the car, right?
Absolutely.
The little child inside of us is still driving our head.
That's correct. Absolutely. Your inner child is in control, not you.
Uh-huh.
That's why when you react to something, it's not you as the adult, because you as the adult can step back and say, oh my God, that's just crazy. Why am I reacting? But that inner child is still feeling that danger, that hurt, that need to protect, or that need to be safe.
Wow. So what do you do for someone who has had a traumatic past and that inner child is really hurt and reacts negatively, and here they are 30 years later or something, and they're still reacting in the same way. What do you do?
Well, through my tools of EFT, I teach them how to retrain that, how to reparent that inner child. Because the whole point of that inner child reacting is they were missing something. They weren't enough. They didn't feel loved. They didn't feel deserving or worthy. So it's you as the adult now get to reparent that inner child inside of you. You as the adult now get to say, you are safe. I love you and I will always have your back. You as the adult get to do that. And that inner child will now start to let the walls drop.
You're safe
and
now.
Let go of the control of you.
Wow, just telling yourself I'm safe now. And yeah, that was an issue, but it's solved now. And wow.
Yeah, it's retraining your brain, but also retraining that child that it's, even though they are still feeling the need to protect you, that you've got it now, that it's okay for them to go and play. You've got this.
Wow. I mean, that's so huge. And maybe someone didn't have a totally traumatic childhood, but maybe they had good parents who were just, the parents are overwhelmed too, again, because of all this new stuff that's coming out, all these new threats that we have to be afraid of, that the news tells us to be afraid of. And
oh, yeah, I believe that people are being traumatized now in the womb because of all the parents are dealing with.
All the stuff.
Because they're connected by an umbilical cord, so they get the energy from that parent.
Wow, so it's just all over the place, everywhere you see, on all sides, right? All sides of the media and all sides of the political spectrum and all sides of everything. Everyone's unhappy.
Yes.
And our subconscious is just...
It's fascinating to watch that, because when if I don't watch the news, but when I see little tidbits, because you cannot watch anything. When I see it, I see the inner child in that person.
Wow.
I don't see the adult. I see the inner child acting out, which allows me to have compassion for that person when everyone else is just angry with that person. I'm like, oh my God, what kind of a childhood did that child have that they're so bent on being seen and heard right now?
Wow. And the key here is seeing it with your conscious mind, right? Your free will, as I call it. And saying, okay, look, this is what's going on, but I don't have to do this. I can choose to walk away from all of this. And I'll agree with you. I see that too. In the little tiny bit of studying I've been doing about the brain for my next book, I have seen this in people where I go, oh, look at these people. They're acting out. Oh, wow, these people are greedy and selfish. And it's because they fear not having enough.
Yeah.
Right? So again, the solution is your conscious mind choosing to do something else, right? And that's what all the world religions, that's the point of all of that is, hey, instead of killing each other and robbing each other and whatever, hey, just stop for a second. If you just treat each other right, you just don't have problems anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And you and I talked about this earlier, too, is that pause button. I wish that we had that pause button, but we actually do have a built-in pause button. It's right where your collarbones are and about an inch down and over about an inch. If you put your thumbs in those spots, it feels like a bruise. And if you push on those, it'll bring you instantly to the present moment. So it'll take you out of that roller coaster ride you're about to take or you're on, and it will bring you more present. Because the minute that you go on that roller coaster ride, the minute you're in that fight or flight, the minute you're in anxiousness or despair, you shut down your thinking brain. So you don't have the option of choosing what's better or what's right, because you just shut it down.
And I really, my next book, which will be about anxiety, I really need to show you, I can't wait to show you the preview of that, because it's all about, it's so complicated, but basically when I went through some horrible things, there were all these self-help books that said, you need to do the the present moment and all that, but that actually made me worse. It was like a grease fire, because here I was trying to chase that, and thinking it was something I needed to chase, and they worded it the wrong way, and it threw me off and made me even worse. But all we're saying here, and I have a chapter called All They Really Meant Was.
Yeah, I love that.
Is what you're saying is just stop. figure out how to get on the right path.
Yeah, just stop and breathe. Don't even have to think. Just stop and breathe. The moment you breathe, you are stopping that reaction. You're literally putting a roadblock on it. And you're in the present moment.
I
Because
do
now
that when
you're
I'm driving now.
Yeah, yeah. Because now you're focusing on your breathing and not on the stuff in your head.
Yeah, when I'm driving, sometimes I'm so late and I'm so in a hurry to get places. All right, hang on, Mark, stop. Instead of going, and wait, well, that's going out of the way. But I need to get there, and at least I'm making some kind of progress. No, Mark, you're going out of the way. Just stop. Maybe you have to turn around and backtrack a block or two, a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
But then you can get on the right road to where you can get there better, and it's just overriding. People don't even realize, they don't even have the awareness sometimes that they have a conscious mind that can override that autopilot, because we're all on autopilot.
People don't believe they have a choice. And that's all it is a choice.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
To be stuck on the negative and to focus on that only. Or you can choose to start every time you say something negative to flip it to something positive, so that you're making that choice and that effort to actually rethink how you think.
And that's huge. And that's the book after my next book is a second anxiety book.
I'm glad I can help.
Yeah, and absolutely. I talk about how I was just a hurricane of negativity, because here I was putting out fires for thousands of people, massively overwhelmed physically, and everything in my industry, the walls were closing in on me, because every day my industry creates trillions of new stupid things in order to thwart the consumer.
Yes.
And take advantage of them. And it was my job to A, protect them, and B, warn them, and C, figure out a way how to get out there and warn people and all that. But yeah, I had to choose to say, okay, you know what? All this crushing number of phone calls I'm getting, okay, Mark, that's an opportunity to make money and pay your bills. And this billions of new things that are coming, okay, Mark, that's an opportunity for your this and that.
Yeah.
Seeing it that way.
And when you make that choice, Mark, like you said, when you spoke with that person and you said, I made some really bad, I took the wrong road, took the wrong direction, I went 45 miles out of my way, but now I'm choosing to be, different. I'm choosing to change my life. You are now opening up doors of opportunity, doors that are there waiting for you to open them. However, you can't do that when you're standing there in negative.
And it's never too late, right? I always tell people, Colonel Sanders didn't make it big until he was 65. It's never too late.
It's never too late. Matter of fact, you should always be working on yourself. The whole point of our lives is to grow and evolve, to be better for the next time around, to be a better person. That's the whole point of our life. And there is no one way fits all. There's no such thing as one, it's one way that fits everybody. Everybody's on their own unique, beautiful journey. And we, as people, instead of trying to fix them and help them, we need to allow them to go through it, because it's their journey and their lessons. And we have no idea where that's taking them.
I mean, I spent the past year or so looking back and saying, wow, you know what? I'm approaching my 20th college reunion. Like, that's crazy, right? What did I do with I didn't do anything yet. What did I wasted all this time? What did I do, right? So I kicked myself for quite a while. But then it's, okay, Mark, you know what? Like you said, my path is totally different from most cubicle people, right? I can't deal with that, and that's okay. And B, I've learned a lot of stuff. About me and also how the world works, and that's why I love writing books, because I discovered a lot of things that people need to know.
Yeah, when you step out of the standard box or the standard form, and you're yourself and you're here to do what you're meant to do, you will see everything will just be laid out for you like a yellow brick road.
And that's, so you bring up a couple things. I mean, number one, whenever I did corporate for a year, and I was in a cubicle for a year, and there was this feeling inside me like, this is so wrong, get out of here, this is wrong, right? And that was most of my life, is all these, I'm in the wrong place, but now it's, wow, I'm in the right place. Wow, when I'm up on a podium giving a speech, wow, I'm in the right place, finally.
Yeah, you know the difference, right? Most of us settle for the mundane 9 to 5, whatever that is for you, getting a paycheck. But it's more, life is more than that. and you're here for a reason. What is your reason? What is your specific reason? And your self-talk will always tell you, no, it's not safe to try. No, I have to do this. No, I have to do that. But it's absolutely amazing when you literally surrender your fears and trust that there is a reason why you're here, and it will all work out how it works out.
Whoa. That's so, I mean, there's so many things I want to say, but it's all right, Mark. Let her talk. Let her talk. But the fact that you said that once you stop, right, you stop and you figure out your reason, and then all these huge opportunities open up, right? Huge opportunities start.
They do. They really do. And I know that people say, well, there's no time frame, right? I mean, it might not be in that year that you wanted to, but in that year that's coming up, and all you're there to learn so you can be that best version of you. Now, I've been an EFT practitioner for 12 or 13 years now. Now, when I started, I didn't know nearly as much as what I know now, but it didn't stop me from going, right? It kept me, it's something, it was a passion of mine. I felt that what I needed to know, what I learned from EFT, I needed to share with people because it's so simple. And yet it's very powerful, and it helps people be themselves, be who they're meant to be, right?
And simplicity is always the right way.
They're shedding the mask and they're just being who they want to be. And it's amazing to watch that transformation.
And I think there's something, we have a thirst for simplicity as people, but also especially nowadays, right? Because every possible solution that is being thrown at us is ultra complex. You need an ultra complex AI cloud solution. When none of it is real, it'll always make everything worse. You need billions of laws and regulations.
Yes. Yeah. When the reality is, if we're not careful, we will lose our humanity because we are not being ourselves. We are being what everyone else expects us to be and needs us to be. So be very careful. Start learning to be yourself because humanity is at stake here.
Oh, yeah, it is. And it sounds dramatic when I talk about AI being the end of humanity. But yesterday I had a client and he's infected with Microsoft Hotmail. This week they call it Outlook.com. But when you reply to an email now, there's a giant button that says, don't worry, let Copilot AI do it for you. So they're now writing your emails for you. You're so lazy you can't even say sentences. We're going to say sentences for you. So now what are we? We're just a bunch of batteries like in the Matrix, and they're going to say sentences for us?
Yeah. It's pretty ironic when you think of some of the past movies that came out and the reality of them now, like iRobot. I mean, that's such a reality. I mean, I look around and I see people, not communicating, not connecting, and they're sitting next to each other, talking to themselves on the phone. Yeah, you're right there. Please just talk, make that connection, see somebody's eyes.
All of
that's
it's coming
what makes
true.
us human.
Right, all the iRobot and the Matrix and all of it is coming true. And it's up to us to stop ourselves and change ourselves and put a stop to all of it.
Yeah.
And it's only going to happen if we individually train ourselves. You can't force other people,
individually, right? We are only in control of ourselves.
There you go.
Make sure that you are taking care of that. And let me tell you something, you are a powerful person. You are extremely powerful because when you take care of yourself, it's a ripple effect. That energy is rippled out to the world. So don't think that you don't have the power to change things. You do, but you have to start with yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It's so huge, right? I'm just one guy, but I've already gotten 1,000 people away from Microsoft or whatever it may be, right?
That's correct, right?
That's so huge. And Jesus says, stop looking at the splinter in someone else's eye and get the plank out of your own eye.
Yeah.
In other words, we can't, because look at all the politics and all the things that are happening in the world. That is a result of people who think that controlling each other is the way forward.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And why do you want that? Why would you ever want someone to control you?
Right. And I say this in my last book, I said the human tendency to control each other, right? We're all just controlling, right? Why would you want that? Why would you want that? Why would you want to be controlled?
Yeah. However, because there's so much fear in the world, it feels safer for someone else to take it. And that's where it all started, right? You create the fear And now you have the control.
Yep, just like the scammers and all that.
Yep.
So you're flipping the script and flipping it upside down, and we're putting ourselves in control, and don't worry about the rest of the world and the politics and the whatever. Focus on yourself. You will change yourself. You'll become the ripple effect. You'll be an agent of good for the world.
Absolutely. All of that. Yes.
Wow. That's how to change the world. It starts with me. And so when you do this, I mean, it's so refreshing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's so refreshing, right?
Yep.
When I remember one point when I lamented to you that, I wasted all this time, and I'm blah, 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 and I'm not married yet, and I'm this and that, and you said, Mark, think about the good stuff that came from that, right? And you made me realize, all of a sudden popped in my head, hey, wait, you know what? I dodged a lot of bullets. Right? And I learned a lot.
Knew what you don't want now.
And now I know what right. And so you gave me that, hey, Mark, you know what? That's okay. That wasn't wasted time. And another huge thing you said to me, and I want you to speak on this, is choosing to be open to what the universe has for you, what it's waiting to give you.
Yeah. One of the hardest things, the biggest lesson you can learn is to surrender and trust. Surrender is easier than the second part of that, which is trusting, because surrender is hard enough on its own. But when we surrender our fears, when we surrender our doubts, when we surrender what we think we know is best for us, right? We also have to trust that there is a larger, bigger entity out there that knows exactly what we need, has it already planned out, and the only thing we need to do is to surrender and trust, is to allow it to happen. So when we are not believing in the universe, for me, my greatest divinity is the universe. You call it whatever you want. It's okay. But we all believe in something, I believe that, those trees out there, I didn't do. So I'm tiny, teeny, tiny, like a grain of sand compared to what the power is out there. And I have to stop looking at myself as knowing everything and trusting that everything that comes my way, even some of the bad stuff, there's a lesson there. There's a valuable lesson there. It's necessary for me to move to my next level of growth.
Oh, that's a huge thing, and that's a huge core of my next book is, hey, bad stuff isn't bad. Bad stuff is a lesson. It's designed to chisel something off of us.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is when something's happening to you is ask yourself, what is here for me to heal?
Yeah, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Yeah, what am I supposed to learn from this?
And a lot of the self-help books, they only have it half right. They're a little fatalistic. They say, just surrender to the cold, dark, random universe. And that's not correct. That's surrender, but it's surrender to the wrong thing. And that, when I read stuff like that years ago, that caused me to fear even more. I'm like, I don't want to surrender to a cold, dark, random universe. That's terrible. But what you're saying is, hey, surrender to a universe that knows what's best for you.
And that loves you. I mean, loves you unconditionally. Mm-hmm. There is a power out there that loves you unconditionally. There is no conditions, whether you get it right or get it wrong. It's going to love you. It's going to stand by you. It is going to help you. But you have to learn to surrender what you believe is right for you and open that door for what is right for you.
And I'm really good at thinking I know what's right for me. And I only move ahead when I say, all right, God, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So what do you, if someone comes to you, I'll let you just describe your process. If someone comes to you and says, Stacey, my life is so miserable, I'm negative, and life is bad.
Okay. Well, first of all, every session that I create is a sacred space. It's a sacred space for you to just be and feel exactly how you are. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. There's no fixing. You are not broken.
Wow.
And the second thing I do is I deal with your emotions, because life happens. And we all have experiences. It's not about the experiences. It's about the emotional attachment we have to them. So if an experience happened and It was good. We have a beautiful emotion attached to that, joy, happiness. If an experience happened and it was bad, then we have a different emotion attached to that, whether it's resentment, anger, frustration, whatever that is. I deal in emotions. So when you come to see me, we tap on your emotion around something because that's the only way you're going to release that something. It doesn't go away. The event doesn't just disappear, but it no longer has a hold on you because you didn't hold it with an emotion.
So you're not suppressing and repressing. It's, hey, look, this happened, but we're going to look at it in a different way.
Yes, it's a three-step program, Mark. It's face it, which is what I want you to do with your emotions. Face it, face them, which means acknowledge that they're there. For the first time in your life, instead of stuffing them away, saying, I don't have time for this, let them be there. Feel it. You really need to feel your emotions because they're not going away. They're just going to manifest into bigger and bigger and bigger monsters. And then free it. Because once we face it, once we feel it, we are freeing it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is similar to EMDR, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes,
where
it
it's,
is.
hey, look, I've got this thing that happened to me. All right, that happened, but hey, let's it's almost like let's go back in time and tell ourselves, hey, you know what? All right, this happened, but remember all the stuff you gained from it and remember all the, right?
Yes, it's first working on this happened, right? Because we can't just go, this happened, but it's okay, because we're not going to believe it, because we still feel like it happened.
Right,
So
you can't just pet it on the back.
Right, that's right. So first we deal with the emotion until we've actually brought it from a 10, which is really high and really strong and has a strong attachment to it, to a 0, which, even if you don't go to a 0, if you get to a 1 or 2, that's awesome. I mean, if you get to from a 10 to an 8, that's a 20% decrease in the intensity of that emotion. That's a huge relief. You're going to feel lighter just doing that.
And feeling lighter, it's an indescribable feeling, right? When you do this kind of work on yourself, you feel lighter. You feel like you don't have to worry about that stuff, and you don't have to look at the world in a critical way anymore, and you don't have a burden. You're now free to do whatever it is you're supposed to do. Feeling lighter, that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, and once you experience that, you want to be in that all the time. But it's practice, because you've practiced being who you are and telling your stories your whole life. So now it's practice rewriting those stories, which is not, a lot of people say, well, I don't have a lot of time. You don't need a lot of time. And you don't need a lot of time in life. So I have clients that are 80s, right? They want to work on their stuff. Good for you, because the last thing you want to do is take it with you and go to the other side anyways, right? So let go of it now, because a lot of our stuff we've gotten and we have is generational. It's not just ours. It was our parents, our grandparents, grandparents. It's generational. So if you can let go of that stuff, you're not bringing it to the next generations.
Right. Maybe the fact that I'm a cheapskate comes from something in the past of maybe some ancestor was in the Great Depression.
That's
and
correct.
Even if I have enough, I worry that I don't have enough and so on.
Sure. I have friends whose parents were in the Great Depression, right? And their parents saved every little piece of food, whether it was 1 pea. They didn't care. They wouldn't throw anything out. Well, their kids are just like them, and they don't have to be. There is an abundance. It's a mindset. It's also a limiting belief. So it's a belief that you're never going to have enough.
Wow. And to speak to that,
Go ahead, which will give you not enough.
And it'll give you not, wow, because you think you don't have enough. Right. And there's a book called Why Enough is Never Enough, actually.
Yeah.
And they talk about that, how people, let's say you're in a group and they say, okay, hey, who do you think should pay for this? And you look around and it's, well, whoever makes more than me. Well, what about me, right?
Yeah.
But that's another thing in my next book I talk about is what I call cranking it up to 11. All right, you see someone across the street or whatever, and you see them being wasteful. And you say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be down there with them down at 2 or 3. I want to be up here, and I want to be up. Well, I'm going to crank it up to 11, right? And then you become too frugal.
Yes.
Right? So it's okay. It's awesome to be frugal. It's awesome to be frugal. But you don't want to do so in a way where you're keeping every crumb, right? In a way that hurts you. So it's all about, okay, you know what? You can be better than the wasteful people, but you don't have to crank it up to 11 to the point where it's so intense that you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, don't forget, life is all about balance. It's all about balance. So yes, you can be frugal, but yes, you can also be the other side. You've got to find that happy medium, because you never tip the scales down one side or the other. You have to have that happy medium. Life is about yin and yang, and it's about balance. So find that balance of work and play. Find that balance of happiness and other stuff. Find the balance in your life, because that's where the waters are calm all the time, right?
Oh,
There's
that's
no
cool.
ripple effect in either side. The waters are calm all the time. So your life is really good there.
So instead of, wow, yeah, right there in the middle, I used to have a imbalance of work life, right? Where I was
Yeah.
working all the time, never had time for a relationship and all that. So I guess my takeaway is that we have the choice, if we just stop worrying about what other people are doing and stop trying to control other people and make that decision right here and now. Hey, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to do something better. I'm done suffering, and I'm going to be that good in the world. And then, like, I've seen the ripple effect, Stacey. I've seen it, right?
Absolutely.
Where I chose to start my business, and I go out there and I help people, and all of a sudden, hey, look at that. It's
Yeah.
a ripple effect. And
You and I would never have met if that was the case, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So there's an absolute ripple effect, and it's always a good ripple effect when you are doing what you love, number one, and when you surrender to what you think you should do and know. It's always that wonderful ripple effect. But yeah.
Wow. Stacey Altomari, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, please go to my website at EFT, the number 4, wellness.com. My information is all on there, and you can check out and see who I am and what I stand for and what I offer. And I offer 20-minute consultations for free. So, because I want to connect with people, see if we're a good fit, and see if I can help them. So always, please reach out to me. I'm here to help.
Yeah, as opposed to having a name on a billboard, right? If they can actually get to know you and say, okay, you know what? Maybe she can help me. And yeah,
Yeah.
so EFT number 4 wellness.com if you want to
Correct.
change your life.
Yeah, change your life, make it better. Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Mark. This was awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I'm so thrilled with everything you're saying that I just, oh yeah, I want that, and I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this.
I
So
love it. I absolutely love it. I love your energy. I love our energy. And this is what connection does. It brings together the right energy.
uh-huh. thecomputerexorcist.com to find out more about me, and talk to you next week.